Today I will discuss not integral calculus, but something called system of difference equations. Um, when we started this semester, uh, we had not planned to introduce this unit, but as you will see, there are certain reasons why we decided at the last moment to incorporate this in your syllabus. So, okay. So can you see this Word document?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, why do we use difference equations? Okay, difference equations are basically trace out time path of a variable, right? So if you want to study how price levels are moving, we can frame an equation, a difference equation, and this will give me the starting price of time and how the time, the starting price of price and how price moves over a period. So on the x-axis, we have time, and we take a starting point over, let us say this is the starting point. Okay. And we frame a difference equation which says that the price will move either like this is one possibility, or price can move, price can oscillate like this. So we can have different types of movement of the price. However, over here, what we have done is we are studying just one single variable. Sorry, just let me move this. Okay. Now, if you want to study uh, movement of several variables, then we have to set up a system of difference equations. So this has two characteristics. One is we are studying time path of multiple variables. So for instance, over here, we can have two variables. The first variable is oscillating and the second variable moves up like this. More important, what we can have is interaction between the variables. So we can have starting points, but once we start the motion, then the value of, let us say, this variable will influence this equation, this variable also. So in other words, the time, if we have two variables, x and y, so our objective is to find out xt and yt. So the time path of x depends upon x0, that is the initial point of x0, and is defined by a single difference equation which has y as an variable. Similarly, the time path of y will depend upon y0, the initial value of y, and it will depend upon a difference equation which has x as a variable. So this allows for interaction. So we can have multiple variables instead of two variables. Instead of two variables, we can bring in more than two variables, 3, 4, 5, as much as we want. And we can think of different types of interaction. So maybe x1 and x2 depend upon each other. x3 doesn't influence any other variable. x4 is affected by all the variables, and so on. Now, the specific type of, we can have different types of such systems. And you have already studied one system, which is the multiplier accelerator model. The Higgs-Samuelson multiplier accelerator model. Today, I'm going to discuss something which is more simple, but it is more relevant to your present work. So we are going to study the application of system of difference equations in epidemiological models. Okay, do you know what epidemiology is?
The study of epidemics.
The study of epidemics. Very good. And specifically, which epidemic should we study now? So I'll write down the answer specifically to COVID-19. So you will have heard of different terms connected with the in the newspapers, that terms like peak, rho naught, transmission, and so on. So what we are trying to, or what we'll try to do in this class is, we will show how COVID-19 can be modeled using what is known as SIR model. Okay. Now the terms S stands for susceptible, I stands for infected, and R stands for recovered, right? So susceptible is basically the population who have not been infected and therefore may have COVID-19 in the sometime in the future. infected is obvious. Those who are currently those who are currently affected by COVID-19, and recovered is those who had COVID but have recovered. In the simple model, the assumption is there'll be more assumptions, but about the structure, we make two assumptions. No one dies from COVID. This is basically a simplifying assumption, and we can remove this later on. And the second is we also assume that there is no reinfection. Again, reinfection is something that we can easily incorporate into the model. And in fact, if you look into the epidemiology of COVID, reinfection occurs only after a pretty long time lag. So in China, it started in January, and the reinfection is occurring in May. So that means reinfection can be thought of as something which recurs after, let's say, at least about 3 months, 90 days. So the justification of this is the time lag of 90 days. And this is basically simplifying. And the third assumption is that we have a homogeneous population. But again, this is essentially simplifying, and as I'll discuss later on, it can be removed, and we can incorporate the possibility of a heterogeneous population. Okay, so is this clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You don't seem too happy. ভয় পাচ্ছেন নাকি? Arathri?
No, sir.
Okay. And another important variable, which is n. N is the population. So now we come to the model. See, if we add up S plus I plus R, we will get N, right? This is obvious. If we assume that the population is constant, so there's no birth and no death rate, then at any point of time, N is equal to S plus I plus R. Again, we can incorporate death, we can incorporate births also. In that case, what will happen is that N is going to go up in every period. But let us assume that N is constant. N, the population, is constant, and for a fairly short period, the growth is not that much. Sorry. Okay, so in the population, if you take any person, he will either be in the S group or in the I group, or he will have recovered from COVID, right? This is clear. Now we have starting values of all the three variables. So we have S0, we have I0, and we have R0. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to find out what will be S, I, and R at a particular point of time. how will they move over time? So for this, we have to define DSDT. What is DSDT? That over time, the number of susceptible persons changes. The second important is DI/DT. How does the number of infected persons changes? So this is the spread of COVID. And lastly, we have DR/DT. What is the recovery part? So we have three equations which defines how the three variables that we are interested in moves over time. Now, what is DSDT? DSDT is simply rather when will the number of susceptible persons decrease? This is a question to you.
So when DI/DT will increase?
Not fully, but yes, you're on the track. So in any period, you will have a number of infected persons. The number of infected persons will go up, and this will, some people will catch COVID, and this is equal to DSDT. But there will be a minus sign in the before that because S is decreasing.
Oh.
So this is basically number of new cases, right? We have S0. Let us say we are moving to S1. So that means how will S decrease? The decrease in S is minus number of new cases, right? What is the number of new cases? It is equal to beta I into S. In fact, it is better if you write it like this. How do we get this? What is beta I? And why do you multiply this by S? Beta is the probability that an infected person will give the disease to someone else, right? What is it equal to? It is equal to two things. One is the transmission rate of COVID. This is, by transmission rate, we mean that, okay, let me write the entire thing first. Into number of contacts. So let us suppose that we have a person A who is infected, right? He meets 10 persons during the day, right? So if he meets 10 persons, will he infect all the 10 persons? No. How many will he infect? There's a probability that he's going to infect a particular person whom he meets. This probability is the transmission rate of COVID. So it is probability that an infected person will give the disease to someone else, right? So therefore, the transmission rate into how many person he meets during the day, that will give us how many, the probability that the infected person is spreading the disease. Okay. So this is for a particular person.
So I is the number of contacts.
No, I is infected.
So will it be for
Just hold on for a
0th
moment.
period?
It is it? Sorry, what did you say?
So your INS will be for like some period, like will it be for the 0th period, like the period you're starting from?
I can't hear you. See, I is the infected, the number of infected persons in the society at any point of time.
Not any specific period.
No, in a particular point of time.
Okay.
So that means if I take I2, it means that how many persons are infected in time 2.
Right.
So we are starting from I0. So in that case, it will be how many persons are infected in time in the first or starting period. Okay, so beta is the number of healthy persons who will be infected by A, one infected persons. If there are, let us say, 10 infected persons, then how many people can be ill? It will be beta I. So this becomes the proportion who will be ill. And to get the number of cases, we have to multiply by S, the number of healthy people. Okay, so it becomes ds dt becomes minus beta into is. Okay. How many infected, what is the growth in infected persons? It is again beta is, number of new cases. But every year, in every time period, you have recovered cases. So you have to subtract that, right? Now the number of new cases is simply this. You don't need the minus because it infected cases is going to go up. Then you'll have to subtract. You'll have to subtract the number of recovered cases. So this is assumed to be gamma I. At any point of time, you have I number of people, and out of them, gamma proportion will recover. So this is the proportion of infected cases who recover in a particular time. This can be defined as 1 by days to recover. So currently, do you know how many days it takes to recover from COVID? Hmm? Yes? So in Europe or in USA, it takes about 14 to 20 days. But in India, it is 30 days. So gamma should be 1 by 30. Okay. So this is the number of recovered cases. This will come over here also. Okay. I'm removing the multiplication. So this is the 3 equations which describe how COVID spreads in a society. Okay. Now we know gamma is 1 by 30. What is beta? Beta is much more difficult to estimate. One is that contacts, how many people you're meeting. So currently we can take this to be about 8. And the transmission rate of COVID is 2%. It is actually, it was 2% in China. In India, it is believed to be much less. So 2% into 8 is, so what will it be? This will be 0.16, right? So beta is 0.16 and gamma is 1 by 30. So this will be how much? 0.03. So the equations are minus 0.16 I into S this is the same thing, which will be minus gamma is 0.03 I. So now we had certain parameters which are beta and gamma, and we have defined both the parameters. Now, if we have these parameters, we can also define something as rho naught, which is given by beta by gamma. You have heard of rho naught? What is rho naught or R naught? Does anyone know?
So does it have something to do with the power to which the number of cases increase or something?
Yes, it is the reproduction rate of the infectious disease. So generally gamma, if gamma is greater than 1, if rho naught is it means that the disease will spread. If rho naught is less than 1, then that means the disease will occur in a very small group and it will die out. So it will not spread. Typically, it has been observed that R naught lies between 1.5 to almost 4. At the start of the lockdown, it was ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, estimated that it was roughly about 1.83. Then it decreased to 1.7, and then to 1.55. Okay. So after 3 minutes, I'll end the class and then I'll restart again. Achha. Achha. So now what will be the time path, the actual time path? So we have framed the model, and this is the theoretical time path. We have certain two parameters, beta and gamma. We have plugged in likely parameters into this model. Now suppose we have S0 as let us say we have got 999 people, and we have got I0 is, so number of infected person is 1. So if the population is 1000, then there will be no recovered persons. Okay. So let n equal to 1000. So suppose in the next period, this becomes 990. In that case, let us say I0 becomes 5. In that case, R0 has to become, sorry, R1 has to become 5. So at any point of time, if we sum S, I, and R, it has to sum up to 1000. Okay. So initially, most of the people are susceptible, and then 1 or 2 persons fall ill. Recovered is 0. Okay. Now we want to find out what is S1. S1 is simply S0 plus ds dt. Okay. So this is, sorry. What is S0? It is 999, and ds dt is this term. So we write it over here. So it is I into S. What is I? It is 1, and S is 999. Okay. So we can find this out. We can find out what this is. It will be let me say 0.16 into 1 into 999. So it is 159.84. So let us say it's 160. Okay. So 999 minus 160 is equal to 839. So that means in the first period, you had 999 people who were not infected. Now, 839 people become, the number of uninfected persons falls to 839. What is I? I1? In the first period, it was 1. Now we have to add. So what is this? Oh, this is 1 plus this. So this will be 1 plus 160. And how many people recover? It is 1 into 0.03, which is just, so we can, this way, if you round off to whole numbers, it is 161. Okay. So on R1 is still 0. So if we add it up, 839 plus 161 plus 0, we will still get 1000. Okay. Now, what is S2? What is S2? What is I2? And what is R2? How do we get S2?
So why is R1 0?
R1 is actually 0.03.
03, but that is almost 0.
সেই কারণে এটাকে আমরা 0 ধরে নিচ্ছি। এখানে দেখো আমি কিন্তু জাস্ট এটাকে নিয়েছি, এটাকে 0 ধরে নিচ্ছি। So what will be S2? So given S0, we could find out what is S1. Okay, so now I've got S0, I've got S1, and I want to find, and I also know what is DSDT. So what is S2? S2 will be কি হবে এখানটা?
So S1 plus DSDT
S1
plus DSDT.
plus DSDT. Very good. So for our purpose, we can use this part. We know what is S1. S1 is 839, and we have to take DSDT. কিন্তু এখানে I কত হচ্ছে? Beta is same, beta into I into S. What is I here?
161.
161.
Into
839.
839.
839. So this will be 161 into 839 into 0.16. This becomes
It's way more than 839.
Yes, yes.
21,000.
21,613.
মানে কিভাবে গ্রো করছে দেখছো? মানে the entire, basically in the second period, the entire population is becoming affected.
Right.
Actually, I've taken a very low level. I should have taken something like 1 lakh or something like that. This is too smaller population. But you're getting the hang of it, right? Similarly, over here, infected will be I2 will be this amount minus dr dt. So dr dt is 0.03 into I1, which is 161. So now it becomes 5.
Plus I1.
People start to recover. Okay. So this is, we start off with S0. This is the spread of the disease in the first period. This is the spread of the disease in the second period. So we can go on like this. S3 will be S2 plus dsdt and so on. Now, if you look at this expression, S1, what is S1? S1 is, you can see this is or rather you can see it is evaluated at S0. Okay. And you have dsdt. So this is evaluated at S1. So at any point of time, you can write ST is equal to ST minus 1 plus ds dt. This is equal to S0, the starting point, and then the increases or rather the changes in every period. Okay. Similarly, IT will also be given by this formula. Do you understand this? IT, RT, all of them will be like this. At any point of time, ST is, you can think of it in two ways. What was S in the last period plus the change. Or we can write this as S0, the starting population, plus change in every period. Similarly, I will follow exactly this pattern. and we can write it for drdt. Okay, so any questions? Is it clear, everyone?
Sir, could you go back to that slide where you defined del S del T? Yeah, this one. Sir, when
Yeah.
you define that D times S, like the transmission rate of COVID times the number of people that individual comes into contact to. So that is the number of people infected by one person, right? D
Beta
times S.
is
That's
one
beta
person.
times.
Beta is
Yeah,
one
that is one.
person. Yeah.
Okay, beta is 1%, and times the total number of infected people. That is the total number of people who are susceptible.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay. So this is the mathematical structure. Now it's possible to model this very easily. So this is something that I've devised myself for the Indian population. So we are collecting Indian population, the COVID data. Uh, we have this. We have made some projections also. So we had collected data till this should have been 14th April. So we have collected data till May. I forgot to upload it. Okay. So we have taken the population in the class 1 cities. So this is S, this is N. And so this is period 0. And what I've done over here is I've divided, I've normalized this. So in other words, by S, what I've done is I've divided by N. So it is basically S by N by I by N plus R into N. Okay. Okay. So this is the total population. We just have to put in a value. Let us say it is, there are 999 people who are ill. Who are susceptible, and the remaining people are infected. Okay, so this is S0, recovered is 0, and I is found out simply by class 1 minus point this figure into class 1. Okay. If you look into the formula, what I've done over here is I have put in contact rate and transmission. And I've also put in the recovery rate. This is beta, this is gamma, and this is rho naught. So these gets automatically calculated. If you change the contact rate to 20, see how beta changes? It becomes 0.4. Okay, you can change the recovery rate also. Gamma will change. And what happens is, these three equations, ds dt, di dt, and dr dt, will also change by itself. So blue is the proportion of susceptible people. So you can see that in the initial phase, the disease is spreading very, very slowly. So it is almost 1. After 40 days, the number of infected cases, which is red, starts to increase. So in India, I think the first case was observed in February. After 40 days, which is March, roughly around March, the number of COVID cases started increasing. And so the proportion of susceptible people started falling from 1. Okay. After some time, the number of recovered people is also starting to increase. So what happens to this is what we are interested in. This point is called the peak. Here the number of cases, the sorry. Here the proportion of infected cases at any point of time is highest. And you can see that this occurs about 55 days from the start of COVID. And it implies that about 70% of the population will have become infected. After that, the infected cases starts declining. It starts declining because of 2 reasons. The remaining people, either you have a vaccination, or because people have already developed immunity. They have caught the disease, and therefore they develop immunity. So you don't have any reinfection. As you can see over here, after 60 days, most of the people, almost the entire people, have become COVID patients, and they start recovering. So that is why the peak starts to fall. So you can see that even without any medicine, COVID is bound to decline. What is important is what will happen if beta and gamma changes. Why are we talking so much about social distancing? Can you tell me what will happen if there's social distancing? What does it imply for the SIR model?
So number of contacts will decrease
Number of
if
contacts.
we
Very good. So this contact
so
rate,
beta will fall.
yeah. So over here, the contact rate will become, let us say, 10. Right? See how it changes. What happens now? The peak occurs after almost 4 months, 3.5 months. Right? And the peak was previously 70. Now it is about 55%, 55%. So the peak is lower. Now suppose the recovery rate. Okay, so what was the effect of the lockdown? It reduced the contact rates and therefore beta. So you can see that the lockdown has lowered the peak. And secondly, the peak will occur at a further period. So instead of a peak occurring over here, so 2 months means what? It meant April.
Sir, are you showing some kind of a slide or any page?
Oh, you can't see the Excel sheet?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Oh, ho,
No,
ho.
sir.
No,
I'm
sir.
very sorry. I'm very sorry. Okay, so this is the Excel sheet. And okay. So over here, what I've done is I've put in the class 1 population, right? So these are the parameters. Over here, I've stated the contact rate, transmission, and recovery rate. So I have to put in values for this. So based on this, beta is contact rate into transmission, 0.2. Gamma is 1 by 20. And rho naught is beta by gamma. Okay. So this yellow will get calculated by itself. You have to put in the green ones. And this is data for India, or rather this is data for 14th March, the first date on which we have COVID data. Okay. So if you look into this, the SR model, we only need S0, I0, and R0, right? And we need the values of beta and gamma. So I've got over here, I've got N, I've got S, I've got I, I've got R. I've calculated the values of beta and gamma based on what I'm plugging in over here, right? Now, if you have, let us say before lockdown, I sent you a questionnaire, and one of the question was, how many people did you meet before the lockdown? So the answer came to something like 30. In fact, it was roughly 38. Okay. So contact rate is 38, transmission is 2%. So beta becomes 0.76. Okay, and I'm assuming a reproduction rate, recovery rate of 30. The blue is the susceptible person. Red is the infected cases. Green is recovery. Clear? Now you can see this is called the peak, where the I curve reaches the maximum. So there are two things about the peak. When does it occur and how many people does it involve? So you can see it occurs about 35 days. So our starting period was March 14. So what is 35 days? It will be April 15, about 20th April. So remember that the government claimed that a lockdown has lowered the peak. So they are talking about this point. So one is the peak should have occurred in mid-April, and secondly, about more than 80% of the people should have been infected. See, this is 0.8. Yet I've taken the ratio S by N, I by N. Now, if I've, as a result of the lockdown on social distancing, the contact rate gets reduced. Okay, it gets reduced to, let us say, 10 people. Now look what happens. As soon as I change this from 38 to 10, beta will change. See how the curves change. What has happened? The entire model gets recalculated. Two things happen. First of all, the disease spread is much, much slower. The peak occurs after almost 4 months, 3.5 months, right? So March 14th March, 3 months means April, May, June. So this means it will occur in towards end of June. Do you remember reading in the newspaper?
Could you repeat? So could you repeat like what you just said?
Acha, what I was saying is that from which point?
Just the last part where you said that the June
Okay.
something will decrease in June.
Okay, so if you look into this curve, this is when does the peak occur? This is 0. So this is time. X-axis is time. This is number of days. When
Right.
does the peak occur? 110.
Yes.
Okay, so we are starting from 14th March, and the peak occurs after 110 months. So 3.5 months.
Okay.
So when will the peak occur? 14th March, April,
Around
mid-April?
3 or 4 months after that, yes.
No, we are getting a precise dates. 3.5. This is 100. Roughly about 110 days.
Hmm.
So take 91st, 3 months. So 14th April, 14th May,
30th June or something.
roughly around
14th
30th June.
Yes.
And in fact, that is, if you read in the newspapers, ICMR said that the peak is going to occur in June or July.
Hmm.
Remember, there was a statement by ICMR, Indian Council of Medical
Yes.
Research. So this is what they meant. As a result of the lockdown, right? If there had not been any lockdown, this was the scenario. The peak was very high, but it would have occurred very fast in April. Now, the peak will occur in June. But a good thing is, how many people will be affected? Only 50%. In the earlier case, it was how much? More than 80.
80.
Yeah. So the peak goes down from here, from 80, it goes down to about 50%. But the problem is the peak will occur in the future, not after 1 month or 2 months, but it will occur in June or July, just as we are going to lift the lockdown. Now, if you remember that, I think day before yesterday, there had been some new protocol about the testing. And it was said that rules were being tweaked so that hospital beds could be released faster. So that means instead of 30 days, the recovery is assumed to be a lower rate, 20 days. So if recovery falls to from 30 to 20, gamma will change. Let us see what happens now. You can see the peak will fall still further. So if the health system improves, the peak is going to fall. Suppose we take pre-lockdown, but the recovery rate is the same as in Europe. Does it change that much? See, this is in India, current recovery rate, and this is recovery rate as in Europe. So you can see that the change, that the peak declines, but the position of the peak doesn't change. Okay, so using this, you can develop this SIR model yourself. You can just keep values like this and develop an Excel sheet, and you can use this to find out how the disease will progress under different assumptions. Like here, for instance, we assume transmission was 2%, but the Indian COVID variant is less virulent. So we take 0.05, and in that case, you can see no, sorry, there's a mistake. Yeah, so you can see, or rather, if we take this value, for instance, it will be better. We take the contact rate of 38. You can see the peak will occur in after 2 months. The peak will be lower. Instead of 80, it will be 70. So you can use this to play around with this. You can plug in different contact rates, lower this. For instance, in Europe, the contact rate is 10.34. So you can see the peak will be over here. I put it 14. This will be over here. So you can change these 3 parameters and the graph will change by itself. So you can try this out on yourself. You have handled Excel, right? You know how to create a formula in Excel?
So,
You know how to create formulas?
I don't know that.
See, like D4 plus G4. See, ds dt is G2, which is beta. D4 is this cell S into E4. Look at this part. And E4 is I. So this is beta into S0 into I0. And I put in a minus over here. I is the same thing, minus I2 is gamma, E4 is infected. So in this way, you can create formulas. Or if you want, I can send it to you. You can play around with that. Okay, so I have less than a minute. I'll have to again stop over here. And after we come back, I want to discuss 2 or 3 things with you.